Hi, I'm Kelsey with White Cottage Boutique. I am going to be showing you my second video in my series on how to upholster the back of your refinished chair. So in the first video I showed you how to attach this back board with the fabric behind it. So we've attached that, then I've just kind of trimmed the edges a little bit, giving myself 1 to 2 inches around just to work with. What you're going to need again is the padding that goes on top, this piece, as well as another piece of fabric, your pliers, your staple gun, which I have over there, and some scissors. So this part is really the tricky part. As you can see, the padding on this chair, it's a little bit wider or bigger than the actual part that's going to have the upholstery. The reason that it is that way is because with the larger piece it shrinks it down, so this is a lot more sturdy and stable than if I just were to cut this to the exact length. You can do that. It's just going to be a little bit softer feel than what I'm going for on these chairs, which is really firm. So you're just going to lay this out. The first thing I do to make it a little easier on myself is I lay this out, giving myself enough room on the top and bottom, just kind of try to center it. You can see the piece is a lot bigger than the area that I'm working with, so that I have a lot of room. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my staple gun. Again, there'll be information in the bottom as to what kind of gun I use. And I am going to just staple into this very, very top crack to give myself a starting point. Alright, so then I'm going to fold this back. I'm going to take my foam and making sure that all of these little edges are folded inward. You can use adhesive spray if it makes it easier for you to do this, but I just don't have any on hand. I'm going to push this up against that staple, and I'm going to fold it back and come down here, and I'm going to push this padding up to where it needs to sit and where I can push this fabric down to where I need to staple. I'm going to pull this as tight as I can right down the center, and as you can see, it's really puckering up here, but you don't need to be concerned about that. A lot of that is because this pad is so much bigger than what it needs to be, and I'm not pulling as hard as I can, but I want to make sure it's tight so that it doesn't look funny. I bring my staple gun in, and I'm just going to staple right in the middle here, as close to that crack as I can get. And then again, we're going to do the T that we did, or the cross that we did last time. So I'm going to pull this over to the side, trying to just get it as smooth as possible. And I'm going to staple over here. And a lot of people call this temporary stapling, and they'll go with the lighter pressure. I don't always remove the staples, so I push them in as far as I can unless they become a problem. This is really just trying to give you a general idea where the fabric should fall, and a lot of times you need to adjust it. Okay, so now we have the general shape down that we want. And I like to just kind of start along the bottom on these, but it's kind of up to you how you do it. Just making sure it's all tucked in nice. And I pull this down a little bit. Grab my gun and do another staple. Okay, so I'm going to do one more over here. And I just work from the centers out, trying to smooth it out as much as possible to avoid the puckering as I go along. And one mistake you want to avoid is pushing this so far back that it leaves a gap like this. You can see that here, I'll do it on this side. So you don't want to push this padding so far back in here and then try to staple like this, because that padding will stay like that, and then when you go around and do your trim that we're going to do all the way around this to cover up the staples, it won't fill in the gaps nicely, which is what you don't want. Now on the outside piece, you will want more staples, but I just kind of go around and staple to get the fabric in the right place, and then I'll go in and kind of fill in the gaps a little bit. And as you can see, you can kind of start to see the shape of the chair coming through here. See that puckering that you can see right there? That's what you're really trying to stretch out and avoid. So if you pull too tight, you'll get the puckering, and if you don't pull tight enough, you'll get the puckering. So you just kind of want to work with it as best as you can. Now this one has a little bit more puckering than what I'm comfortable with, so I'm actually going to remove this staple and kind of try to smooth it out a little bit. Some of the puckering will go away as you add more staples in, but if you feel like it's just a little bit too much, you just want to go ahead and remove it. Alright, so now that I've kind of got the bottom going, I'm going to work on the top, and to do that I'm going to flip it up. Just gives me a little bit better angle here. Alright, so what I want to do is kind of work with this side here until I can stretch it out and remove a lot of that puckering that you saw. And then I'm going to add a staple in. And a lot of just reupholstering these backs is just really working with it until you get the shape that you want. Alright, so now that I've kind of got some of that foam under control on one side, I'm going to start over down here. I'm going to actually flip this down again. Alright, now once I get to this top section that I'm working on, this upper corner, I really want to start making sure that it's smoothing out so that when I meet on the edges that I'm working with, because I came from this corner in and then from up here, that it's really not puckering and that I don't have any fabric gathering, that it comes out real smooth. If you can see that, there's a staple in here that I feel like is making it kind of not smooth or even. So I'm going to pull it out. And when you're pulling out staples and fabric that you actually want to keep, you want to be really careful so that you don't ruin the fabric. Alright, so you can see that archway starting to form. And I like to put a lot of staples in up here just because I feel like it makes the shape a little bit more smooth. Alright, now once you're happy with that, we're going to move on to the next arch. Alright, I'm pretty happy with the way this is looking. So, next step is to take your razor, or your razor blade, which I've got right here. This is a pretty sharp one. If you don't have a sharp one, I would just use scissors, because you'll end up breaking it more than you will take the fabric off. And I've got one more spot. I'm going to add another staple. Oh, and before you do this, you just want to check the back. Make sure you don't have any staples poking through. I've kind of been checking as I'm going along, but you just want to double check. And then you're going to take your razor blade. You're just going to trim as close as you can to the edge. So you're just going to go around this piece and remove all of this excess fabric and just throw it away. You want to get as much of it off as you can without causing problems where it compromises your staples. And then we're going to attach the trim in the next video.